Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here, and today we're looking at Tales of the Teen Titans by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. Okay, first have to say, somebody made the comment that they didn't like comics from the 80s, and that is like the pinnacle of comic books for me. Maybe it's just because of my age. Like, I was a kid collecting comics in the 80s. That's when I first started getting interested in them to an extensive degree, and so many great things came out of the 80s. I can't believe that somebody would even say that the 80s comics weren't that good. I mean, we got The Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen, just so many things. I mean, Chris Claremont's X-Men, the Teen Titans here. I mean, Batman and the Outsiders. I could go on and on and on. But I just had to get that out of the way. That is sheer treachery to say that the 80s did not produce good comics. Anyway, so this is probably one of my favorite periods from the Titans. I mean, I just love the Titans. So this is issue 45. I came on with issue 30, and then, of course, got all the back issues, and have been a huge diehard fan ever since. I'm pretty loyal to the Wolfman and Perez. I mean, it's, when after Perez left, I mean, the ship started sinking. There's been some fun incarnations of the Teen Titans, and I'm really happy to see them so popular in pop culture still after all these years. So that's a good thing. So anyway, I was really excited when this came out. And this is during the time when they're also doing the new Teen Titans, the Baxter paper, the better printing. And it was kind of fun to have like two different Titans a month, especially when George Perez was handling the art as much as he could. I think there was only a couple fill-in issues. Anyway, I remember seeing the ad for this and just like being totally blown away. I love Perez's art. I mean, the detail, he's done some of the finest covers. This is such a great shot of Aqualad and Aquagirl, Garth and Tula. I mean, this is so much fun. To tell you how much I love Perez's art, I used to buy like not multiple, but maybe a couple extra copies, and I would cut them out, and I made like this cardboard stand to display like different Teen Titans books. I was nuts. Okay, so anyway, but hey, crafty, right? Oh, there's its superpowers. That gives me a little twinge of nostalgia every time I see that. I mean, you gotta love that, right? The Superpowers versus Secret Wars action figures. And I have to say, I kind of like the Superpowers one better. So anyway, here we are in Titan's Tower, and I have to say that this is like such a argument for long-term creative teams. They just, this is unmistakably Titan's Tower as designed and drawn by George Perez. And, the characters just act like how they should all act, and stories have been building forever. And it's funny because every once in a while they brought in some older Titans. I wish they would have done it a little bit more, but it was always kind of exciting when they did. So we have Marv Wolfman and George Perez. They're co-creators. They would write the stories together. Marv would script, George would pencil. For some reason, Mike DiCarlo is inking this. I can't believe anyone in their right mind, especially as editors. So I'm guessing that Perez was cool with Mike DiCarlo inking his inks, but I feel like it really detracted a lot from it. I just think it's just not flattering on, well, I can't really think of anyone's art that I find it flattering, but the Titans is fun. I've always loved the relationship between Changeling and Cyborg. I always thought it was really fun. Kind of a weird power that you turn into like a green animal, right? But I guess it's better than, I didn't read Doom Patrol, and I'm not super familiar with Beast Boy. It's funny how he's come full circle. He started out as Beast Boy, then Changeling, I guess, seemed a little more respectable or mature, and then now he's Beast Boy again. And I have to say, I really love the name Beast Boy. I think it's a lot of fun. But I feel like he had purple hair or something, and his hair would stay like on the animal when he turned into it. So that was like a weird thing. Here's another example of like great, just like rich, history and like sort of the Bible of the Titans. We've got Vic Stone's grandparents. They were always fun cameos. And I love the fact that he's not home So she's going to pull a hat pin out of her hat and pick the locks. So that's kind of funny. They were great comedy relief, and they just seemed like really sweet characters. So that was fun. And speaking of supporting characters, so this is building up to the wedding of Donna Troy when she married her, like, much older college professor. I love that he's a college professor. Oh my gosh, a college professor marrying a 19-year-old. Like, oh, that isn't, like, such a typical, like, thing that you don't see all the time. Like, my newspaper teacher in high school got into trouble because had an affair with like, years before me, but wound up marrying a student. And I'm just like, whatever. It's not a candy store. It's a freaking job. Like, how disrespectful. Anyway, not saying that, I forgot how Terry and Donnie even met, but, like, the stripper looks 10 years older than Donna Troy, so I don't know. But that's kind of funny. Oh, and then here we have the bachelorette party on Paradise Island. I mean, I don't really think it's a bachelorette party, although that would be awesome if it was a bachelorette party on Paradise Island. Like, how would they even handle that? Like, Hercules comes out and strips for them or something? Like, it's an island full of women, so what would they care, right? They'd be like, you're not even allowed on here, on this island, or we're all going to lose our powers. I mean, is that how it still works? Like, I feel like that's how it was back in the day when, if a man set foot on Amazon or Paradise Island, they would lose their powers, and, there's all kinds of things wrong with that. I mean, aren't they impressed by men enough? That's why they're there in the first place. Jericho, I love the addition of his character. I mean, you know, it's kind of thoughtful, the stuff that, I feel like the Teen Titans was pretty worldly in a lot of ways. You know, like, he was mute, so he speaks with sign language, and, you know, he would have actual moments in the story where he's signing or whatever. So, I mean, I just think that to expose young readers to stuff like that is kind of cool. You know, it might, who knows if it probably influence people to want to learn sign language or anything like that. And I think that's the beauty, one of the beauties of comics. And I mean, I don't think they should preach. I'm not into the SJW agenda. I'm not, like, against progress or inclusion or anything like that, but I don't think it should be forced. I mean, I think it just, when it happens organically like this, is the best way for it. And that's, you know, part of what made the Titans great. I feel like there's Kid Flash with Francis Kane. I always love Francis Kane. See, just such great supporting characters. Oh, this is so... See, here's an ad for the other Titan series, #2. And I just, like, I was completely obsessed. I mean, Perez was inking the first couple of issues, and the art looked spectacular, and it was on this great paper, and it was just so good. And I'll have to cover those in the future because they are so good. And I love this picture. This is one of the pages that I know I cut out for sure for one of my decorations. One of my brother's friends called me a Perez clone, and, like, I couldn't ask for a better compliment. I totally wanted to draw like him. Now I want to draw like John Byrne, but why can't I just draw like Michael Troy? I mean, what's wrong with that, right? Well, I guess there's nothing right with it since I'm still making flip-through videos. Anyway, so this is part 2. This is like the Titans versus the Hive. And can we just give a little appreciation right here for the George Perez cover? I mean, I remember reading in an article, because I was always obsessed with, like, interviews and anything, articles about my favorite artists, because I wanted to know what they were thinking or, like, their whole experience. And I think he said with issue like 27 or something, it was like one of the anti-drug issues, he just really decided to amp up the covers, and he just killed it ever since then. He's always been a great cover artist, but I mean, he puts, like, the extra mile in. I can't even, like, look at all this detail. Isn't that beautiful? It's just amazing. I mean, all these freaking flowers. You're nuts, George Perez. You're nuts, and we love you for it. So here we go again. Marv and George, where they should be. Mike DiCarlo finishing. Like, what the F? Like, there was no one else available. Ben Oda, legendary letterer, and Adrienne Roy, the longtime Titans colorist. I think that she was a good match for George. Although I have to say, that is making me think of when Adrian Chase, the Vigilante, was introduced, and Perez was very upset because they colored in a bright green suit. And he said, like, who would respect the DA wearing that green suit? Anyway, as a comic book reader, like, I'm sure that it never mattered to us. Oh, if Aqualad wants to go shirtless, that's fine. Disco Nightwing. So this is after Nightwing and Jericho are firmly in place as team members. Such a great transformation. Nightwing is like one of the best characters. I love Dick Grayson. I loved him as Robin. He's so great. It was fun when Grant Morrison had him become Batman with Damian Wayne. I really enjoyed that. You know, Perez is doing like 2 books a month, which makes it even more shameful that he's getting these crappy inks. I know I bag on inkers a lot, but a good inker is just so to be appreciated. I can't even tell you. So it's funny because in this story, they're sort of building up to, you know, Raven being taken over by her evil father, Side Trigon, and the other book, it's already happening. So I think that's kind of a fun dichotomy right there. Vic comes home and finds his parents. Gotta give a shout out to George Perez cityscape. I just love his cityscapes. I always wanted to draw many. I always drew many cityscapes inspired by him, and he's the best at like just making up believable like cities and tech and everything like that. I mean, I think that a lot of, you know, this is like back in the 80s. Could you imagine, like, if I'm drawing now and I need to find out what something looks like, all you have to do is Google it. And before, artists would keep like a morgue file, like a 3-ring binder full of photocopies and crap like that, or just books and stuff, having to use that kind of reference. So I think that definitely does give us the edge in this day and age, wouldn't you say? Boom! You gotta love the sound effects in a comic book. Warlord action figures. I don't ever remember seeing those out in the wild, but I probably wasn't looking for them. I was more of a He-Man, kind of obsessed with that. Have you seen the preview for the new He-Man coming to Netflix? It looks so good. Everyone looks how they should. No one's been radically changed for the sake of nonsense. Anyway, so here we are, and I believe this is the end of the Hive. So this is the 3rd part. Another gorgeous cover. Nightwing looking as fierce as you possibly can in that with that big collar and that Disco Nightwing outfit. I hope you don't mind if I call him Disco Nightwing, because I mean it super affectionately. I love the character so much. You know, it obviously wasn't a problem at the time, but, you know, it's funny how radically comic book superhero costumes have changed. And we probably have the X-Men movie to blame for that. I mean, I have to say, like, when they do superhero movies and they get the colors and the costumes right, like, it thrills me to no end. Especially if it looks something like it's supposed to. See, and this panel is so awesome. I love George Perez's Starfire. She's, like, probably my favorite Titan. And I just can't help but think, like, how gorgeous this page would be if it had better inks on it. So if I'm missing something, and like Dan DeCarlo is this amazing inker. Is it Dan DeCarlo or Mike DeCarlo? Oh my God, where's the credits when you need them? They're, you know, I have to say, you know, modern comic books with their credits, like, I kind of like the old setup better. It's like, I don't need a title page. I don't need, like, the inside cover. I need a splash page with the title of the book and the credits. Gorgeous double page spread here. It's funny because George Pérez, in addition to designing like really complicated costumes, just likes to make himself work. I mean, his power is kind of, you know, a lot of work in itself, because you have to do this color hold effect, which would involve drawing it on a separate sheet of paper. I mean, obviously now in Photoshop and everything, that's not a problem. But I have to say that's another reason to appreciate comics from 80s, you know, and probably through the 90s. I mean, so much is digital now, and it just, you know, it's great. I mean, it's like, if you think about like having to draw like every star in the sky or all the clouds when they can easily do it. Oh, this is funny. So Jericho's inside Starfire now, and I know that much, that that's Jay in sign language, and that's him cluing Donna into the fact that he's inside Corey. He's possessed her body. And it really is possession. I mean, that's kind of an aggressive power for such a passive guy. Like, he's an artist. He's, you know, sweet and sensitive. He's trying to help Raven. And then he has this aggressive power where he just full on takes over your body and, like, makes you do things against your will. Crazy, eh? I wonder what, like, I feel like I should know the reason he's called Jericho, but it isn't like plain and simple, is it? So that was fun. A little trip down memory lane. I even loved, like, you get like this little art in the letters page for the Titans Tower, and so much goodness from this cursed 80s comic book. Anyway, that's another look at some of the tales of the Teen Titans. I love this story, The Titans Against the Hive. 3 amazing, amazing, amazing George Pérez covers. So much fun. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit like, share my content, and I'll bring you some more later. All right, thanks.